People. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
America was built by the hands of immigrants, a nation defined by those seeking a better life. Today's immigrants continue this legacy, shouldering the difficult work Americans no longer will. Labor that remains fundamental to the country's prosperity, pouring billions into taxes, even as the very system they support is turned against them. Fleeing violence and hopelessness, they arrived seeking refuge, only to encounter a new, institutionalized brutality. The gates that once welcomed them have become hunting grounds. Homeland Security, now a predator, stalks through tax records, capturing thousands. 32,809 souls vanished this year alone, snatching men and women regardless of innocence or guilt.
Here from Maryland, we're citizens. That's what I keep saying, we're citizens.
She says they didn't care.
That we weren't criminals. That why were they treating us like criminals? We were here by ourselves, that we didn't do anything.
The agents ripped apart every square inch of the house, taking their phones, laptops, documents, and their life savings in cash as evidence.
Enforcement agents have deported a Cuban-born mother of a 1-year-old girl, separating them indefinitely. And in another case, they deported a 2-year-old girl who is a U.S. citizen along with her Honduran-born mother. And all of this follows the deportation of a child with cancer who had been receiving treatment in the U.S. A federal judge has scheduled a hearing for May 16th, saying the child received, quote, no meaningful process.
Grabs what appears to be a large tool. Sniffen tells us her clients were told the agents were looking for someone named Antonio.
And I said, well... And ICE has the authority to perform warrantless arrests, right?
Meanwhile, with the stroke of a pen, the Social Security Administration pronounces the living dead. When identities are erased, immigrants lose the ability to legally work, rent apartments, or even open basic bank accounts. Families watch helplessly as years of hard-earned wages become suddenly inaccessible, when paychecks are frozen, leaving them without money for rent or groceries overnight. The denial of healthcare means pregnant mothers go without crucial prenatal care. Children miss essential vaccinations, and those with chronic illnesses lose access to life-saving medications. Their very existence becomes questioned, challenged, and ultimately eliminated. People who have built lives in America for decades suddenly find themselves unable to purchase food, seek medical treatment, or even prove their own identity in a society that now refuses to acknowledge them. Military chartered aircraft became instruments of shadow justice. On March 15th, 3 plane loads of migrants, including Kilmar Abrego Garcia, vanished into El Salvador's mega prison. By early April, another flight carrying 238 asylum seekers followed, all deported without charges, without trial, without counsel, legal rights evaporating into thin air. For Garcia, a father and lawful resident from Maryland, and others, fate was sealed in these clandestine flights. Kidnapped and wrongfully deported without charges, denied access to a lawyer or any chance to alert his family, despite no evidence against him. Even Trump's own prosecutor admitted in court it was a misunderstanding and he's innocent. On April 4th, U.S. District Judge Paul Ochinas issued a preliminary injunction demanding their immediate return. The administration defied the law, stonewalling justice, and, under cover of darkness, rushing at least 2 more planes onward. They now languish in El Salvador, cut off from family, senators, attorneys, and advocates. And Garcia was not alone. 31-year-old Venezuelan makeup artist, André Jose Hernandez Romero, openly gay and fleeing homophobic violence in Venezuela, was detained at the border because of his 3 Kings tattoo, a religious symbol of the Holy 3 Kings expressing Venezuelan tradition. Despite his protests that he is a makeup artist and gay, he was deported to El Salvador's mega prison on the same March 15th flight.
And then he cried for his mother as he was slapped and had his head shaved.
Jersey Reyes, a former professional soccer player, was detained because of his Real Madrid-inspired tattoo, a crown above a soccer ball, which agents misinterpreted as a gang mark. Independent reporting shows their stories are the rule, not the exception. A CBS 60 Minutes analysis found about 75% of the first 238 deportees had no discernible criminal record, and a separate Bloomberg review put the figure closer to 90%. Yet the administration deepened the secrecy by refusing for weeks to release passenger manifests, leaving journalists to reconstruct the list from leaked documents and FOIA suits. Twice the federal judiciary has spoken, the judge's injunction and the Supreme Court's unanimous April 10 ruling, demanding their return and their rightful day in court. Yet these legal mandates remain blatantly ignored. This unholy trinity, mass arrests, bureaucratic execution of identity, and shadow deportations, creates a wasteland where no work, no healthcare, no education, no existence remains possible. A silent war of administrative erasure, forcing an impossible choice: disappear by choice or be disappeared by force. Not hidden but brazenly declared, Trump openly announced before journalists during the El Salvador president's White House visit his plans for 5 more mega prisons, explicitly targeting homegrown criminals, American citizens. A system where journalists, whistleblowers, and protesters who challenge him can be labeled, deported, and imprisoned without trial.
The federal government will find you. Immigration officials wrongfully told a Fox Valley man to leave the United States. Department of Homeland Security told a retired college administrator to depart the United States immediately. Do not attempt to remain in the United States. The federal government will find you. They announced that U.S. soldiers are now authorized to arrest anyone who steps foot on that 170-mile-long strip of land. U.S. soldiers, active duty soldiers, are now newly authorized to search those people. We learned about a U.S. citizen lawyer in Utah. He got this letter saying, "It's time for you to leave the United States. The federal government will find you." He's a U.S. citizen. Then we learned about another U.S. citizen lawyer in Austin, Texas. The day after that, we got new reporting on a U.S. citizen lawyer in Houston, Texas. This guy is born in Connecticut. He's a lawyer working in Houston. The Trump administration comes to him and threatens him to get out of the country immediately or else. Where is he supposed to go?
When the system meant to protect becomes a weapon, democracy itself is erased. This is not a warning. This is our reality.